Hi, I'm Michael Brook from My Expertise Online, and I help people in the expert space, solopreneurs, people who are usually coaches, trainers, consultants, therapists, to create, market and sell their own online course. Now, one of the things that we spend a lot of time with our students talking about is how to structure your own online course, because if you don't get the structure right, all sorts of things can go wrong. So, for example, if you've ever been on a course that's not very well structured, it feels awkward, it feels lumpy, it doesn't flow, it doesn't feel that it's logical, and it certainly isn't memorable. And one of the most important things that you want to be able to do when you're creating an online digital course is to give your audience, to give your students a sense that everything in this course is really logical, it's got an awful lot of flow built into it, and that it is memorable and sticky. Because really what we want to be able to do is sell more than one course to our audience. In fact, we'd like to sell a portfolio of online digital assets to our audience. Now, if they have had a bad experience with one of your courses because it didn't flow, because it felt awkward, because it felt a bit disjointed, well, when it comes to thinking about whether they should or should not buy another digital course from you, the answer will probably be no. And so, I suppose over the years of working with people and seeing other people's online courses, I recognise that one of the things that goes wrong most often is not getting the structure of your online course right. And the secret is to structure it, to sequence it, and to systematise the whole thing so it flows really well from beginning right through to the end. And that also needs to happen at different levels. So it needs to happen at the surface structure, but it also needs to happen, when you chunk down to the individual key points that you are delivering in your online course. So whilst it's not overly complicated, it is very important that you get each level in the right place and you structure everything from the top all the way down to the bottom. And we call this structure creating solution frameworks. So how do you structure, sequence and systematise your own online course? Well, the first thing that you need to do, and you might have seen one of my other videos recently about how to map out your online course, the first thing you need to do is pick one course. So what you don't want to be doing is trying to make one course so detailed that it could be 2 or 3 different courses. So just focus on one course. You also need to think about your ideal customer. So who is this? Who is your audience? Who is your customer? Who's your student? Who are you making this course for? And you want total clarity on that individual, because you're going to be, in essence, making this course for that one person. And the other thing that you need to be very clear on, what is your superpower? I know that sounds a bit cheesy, but what is it that you do that transforms your audience? What is it that you do that transforms their behaviour, transforms their performance, transforms their life? Because what you do is not your superpower. What your superpower is the transformation that you make in the life of your ideal customer. So let's get started and let's look at the starting point for this process. So the starting point is here. The starting point is where your customer is now. Where is yet this audience member? So get total clarity on your ideal customer avatar. Where are they now? Because where they are now is the place that they need to break free from. It's the place that they need to escape. And it's likely that where they are now, they are experiencing some pain. And that pain is probably caused by a problem that they have. And so this is their current state. Because what we need to do is we need to create a course that takes them from there, point A, the place that they want to leave, the place that they want to escape from, and we need to get them over here to point B. This is their desired outcome. This is the place that they want to arrive at. So this is their desired state. Okay, so it's our job to bridge the gap between point A and point B. This is our job, this is what we do. We bridge that gap, because here is the transformation that we create in the people who we want to educate or we want to find a solution for. That's what we do. So it depends on the field that you're in, but that's the transformation from point A to point B. Now, it's impossible to make that leap directly from point A to point B. So we need to create some milestones or stepping stones that will elegantly take them from point A to point B. Now, in business, we sometimes call these milestones, but in course creation terms, we call these modules. Now, when you think about where your audience member is now, in point A, when you think where they want to get to, there will be some logical stepping stones that they need to take in order to get there. And, you know, the first step is from point A, where they are now, into module 1. And module 1 is the thing that takes them on that first step of transformation to where they want to be. So that needs to be quite a logical step. Equally, module 2 needs to be just as logical a next step from module 1 to module 2. So we really need to map this out so that it is very logical. And so on, so that module 3 is the direct progression from module 2, and so on until we get to the place that they want to be. I've shown you 5 modules here, but it doesn't have to be 5 modules. That could have been 3 modules, it could have been 4 modules, it could have been 6 modules, it could be 7 modules. It depends very much on the course content, it depends what you're trying to achieve, and it depends on the area that you're working in. So the next thing that we need to do is break these modules down into lessons. And these lessons work very much like the modules do. So we have to break these modules down into lessons. Now, it's just the same principle, you know, that these lessons need to have a logical flow to the next one. So lesson 1 needs to flow into lesson 2, and so on and so forth. So that each and every lesson leads on to the next lesson, so that when you get to the end of the lessons in the module, it makes total sense that you went from the start of the module to the end of the module, and when you get to the end of the module, you understand what that module was about, and you're in a situation where you can put it all into action. So that's the next level where we talk about these lessons. But still we have to break this down further, and we need to make each lesson work. And the way that we make each lesson work is by breaking those lessons down into key points. Now, it doesn't really matter how many key points there are in each lesson, but what it does need to do is make sure that there are enough key points to make each lesson work. So we've moved down from the surface structure down into the individual modules, down into the lessons, and then down into the key points. So what we've actually done here is we've got the structure, and then we sequenced that, and then we systematized the whole process. So we've gone from surface structure to sequence and then systematization. And that is how you structure your first online course. Now, I can't impress upon you enough how important it is to create these solution frameworks, because that is exactly how you take your audience, your ideal customer, from point A, where they don't want to be, where they've got pain, where they've got problems, the current state that they're in now, and where you take them to point B, which is where they want to arrive at. You know, it's escape and arrival, break free from, get to, and that's how you do it, by taking them from point A, creating that transformation, and taking them to point B, where they have the desired outcome and they're in the right desired state. So thanks for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you next time for another bird's eye view of how to create an online course.